Alrighty. So, as the name of the video suggests, I am reassembling the corexy, I hope for the last time for a while. This last time I disassembled it, it was I was swapping out the original shims, which were quite oversized for what their function was, for some new shims that are 7mm OD, which allows the bearings to run smoothly. And the idler pulleys. The old ones were, I think, 10mm OD, which would actually rub. Now, Josh had come to the conclusion that the rubbing was actually putting a significant drag on the motion system, and I had actually been looking into trying to replace these shims for a while, and probably should have done my due diligence before I reassembled everything. However, I did discover a major flaw when I had reassembled it the first time and sprinting with it. I had the idler pulleys on the belts quite misaligned. There was some parts that should have been reprinted that I neglected to realize needed to be reprinted and replaced. So when I was reassembling yesterday, realized this and stopped, obviously, and circled back. I am printing out another spacer here. Because the one I printed yesterday, or attempted to print yesterday, I had screwed up. And I can only find 2 of the 4 I printed the other day. Oh, but shouldn't take long. It's just a few minute print while I swap out all the pieces on this. Might as well make sure I'm at the latest revision while we're here, regardless of how necessary changing out this little printed spacer is. Yeah, this is LXR3. I have LXR1, even though 1 was the most up-to-date version when it started. But once I have this reassembled, my entire wish list of things for the corexy mechanism will basically be fulfilled, and I don't foresee myself needing to take it apart again unless there is some sort of major issue in the future, which I hope there will not be. I'm hoping that my future videos on this channel will be not fixing and upgrading things that have already been done, but new things, new tools, adding more electronics, the 3HC for the second set of tools. Maybe some other fun things that I have in the back of my mind. Oh. Make sure I get this stack up correct. Oy. I've really gotta fix that. Ever since I upgraded to the new firmware on my big box, I've had stupid heater faults on the one that on the heater I'm not particularly using at the moment, that keep messing with the printer, and it's very irritating. I've had it mess up prints before, where it's like, okay, sure, there's a heater fault on a heater that's not currently being used during a print. There we go. See, we got our shims. Everything seems to be moving smoothly. Let's get a little Loctite on there. Taken to putting a few drops of Loctite on a little piece of plastic or a dish, and then applying that Loctite to the hole that I want to screw into rather than onto the threads. This is mostly due to the fact that I don't want to get Loctite in my bearings, because that would not be fun. It also kind of helps prevent a mess. I don't know that I would do this for every application of Loctite, but at least in the areas where there's a potential for getting it in places I don't want it, like the bearings. I feel like it's the wisest decision I could be making with this at the moment. Maybe I'll just move that over here. This next step is a pain. Trying to get these screwed down without letting the shim fall off is very tiresome and something that I've had to do way more than I ever wanted to do lately. It's not like I can turn my entire printer upside down. I'm trying to think of a way to... Oh, so great. And my shims are MIA. Here's one. Tell you what, trying to find a 0.2 millimeter shim with maybe got a millimeter meat all the way around. Not fun. I have a couple spare, but not many. At least I should have a couple spare. Aha. Yes, I have 5. Now 4. Maybe 5 again when if I ever find the other one. Do have a packet of 100 coming from China, but only God knows when that'll show up. As long as I don't lose 5 today, I should be okay. Because hopefully I won't be putting these back together again anytime soon. I mean, taking them apart again anytime soon. Tell you what, these things are literally the most frustrating thing to try to control while assembling anything. What have I done? Shouldn't fall off again. This task is even less enjoyable. That's the task of trying to get it back up the threads. I have no idea. Hopefully it will have got it. Yes, so the print on the other printer stopped again, mid-print. 'Cause why? Alright. Looks like it is still free moving. Okay. Oh my god. I didn't, did I? And naturally, I've got to take it back apart because somehow, in all the swapping around, I have swapped the pulleys. And I just somehow dropped another shim on the floor. Somehow the shim was stuck vertically between two linoleum tiles. What are the odds of that? What I need to make is some sort of little clip that I can put in there, tighten while I'm tightening it down. And then pull out. hope that is officially the last time I have to take that apart for a very long time. Oh. All right. Nice and freewheeling. Solid. Sure. Yeah, I got those already. It's just this last one now. Ah, good. My new spacer. Pretty much everything in the entire corexy was swapped. Aside from the belt, because the belt was already genuine gates. But I believe I printed or swapped out every printed part, every bearing or pulley. This standoff right here has actually made it through unscathed. Although it did get swapped out technically when because it was new for this aluminum crossbar. But I need a longer bolt. 16. Okay. I had $16. Okay. Well, I found some 25mm button heads, and I'll have to cut them down to about that length, I guess. What I believe I need are 18s, and this one, over an 18 bomb. I'm just curious. Let me look at the bomb really quick. Actually, what does it suggest in here? 10mm. Oh, wait a minute, what the? It's 20mm button head? more in my button assortment of button heads at one point. All right. Come on. For God's sakes. That's what I get for trying to avoid using my Dremel. The threads are messed up. Don't know why I bother with live streams anymore. It just doesn't seem like it's really worth anybody's time to be live streaming these anymore. Definitely it made sense at one point. All right. That's finally done. See if we can tighten these belts back up. Well, first, everything seems to be moving pretty good. Hello. Yes. How goes it? Yeah, I can hear you.
Weird. I think you can hear me. I'm seeing something, but I can't hear you yet. Sorry.
You can't hear me?
How about now?
Can you hear me? Hello?
What is wrong?
Hello? Hello? I definitely hear me.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, there we go. How are you, sir?
Oh, not too bad.
You got the motor plates and the corner plates on. They look great.
Yes, I really like them.
Yeah, I got mine. I'm hesitant to put them on because I don't have the shoulder screws. But I was wondering, do I need different lengths if I'm going to use the Darlin plates that I have, or do I only need the different lengths if I print the pieces?
So, Josh basically made it so that you have to use the printed pieces.
Okay.
I'm semi-dubious about that, but I understand why he did it. He did it to reduce the part count that you have to source.
Right.
I kind of like the Darlin pieces, or
Yeah.
Delrin pieces, but yeah, I actually put the corner plates on a week ago or so. But one thing that's always bugged me about the Jubilee build was the fact that they had these spacers with, I think it was a 10 millimeter OD when the bearings and the basically had a 8 millimeter OD.
Right.
And oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was actually trying to source 7 millimeter outer diameter shims, and you can't find them anywhere except AliExpress, which means 2 months, you know.
Masumi has them now, or
Do
has
they?
them. Yeah, so it's a little pricey, but yeah, I ended up because Josh had both the Masumi and the AliExpress on the bomb. At least he did the last time I was looking at it.
Right.
Um, and I ordered the AliExpress, and then I got impatient and ordered the what have I done here? Ordered the ones from Masumi and just spent the money on it. And then I was working on putting all those shims in, which I thought would be quick and easy and would be done, and turned into a whole thing. But it actually is good because I discovered that I had screwed up.
Oh
There
yeah.
was there was some parts I needed to print and or replace in the on the crossbar, and I hadn't realized it.
Right.
And so when I went to tighten up my belt after doing the 7 millimeter shim, I was trying to make sure the belts were, looked halfway. Oh, what have I done here? That's not gonna work. Anyway, I had realized the pulleys were very much not spaced out properly.
Right.
On the crossbar. So then I had to print new pieces, which I did last night. And here we are. Trying to get the corexy mechanism back together again.
Right.
I am very much against ever taking this thing apart again unless it's in the far-flung future, and for a really good reason. I mean, there's nothing left to upgrade in the corexy mechanism unless for some reason the entire community decided that 9 millimeter belts was suddenly a magical thing that would solve everybody's problems, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I was considering doing all of that as an upgrade if I was gonna be taking apart the Core XY, anyway. But I think it was uh, H2B. I think he was the one who was saying that. He said he made the suggestion that he's got 9 millimeter and he's been running it forever, but he doesn't see any significant difference over people who are running 6 millimeter. So
Right. I don't really think, I mean, it just doesn't really seem like it's probably a thing.
right.
So funny though, the belt costs 1.5 times more, but the pulleys are actually the same price as the 6mm pulleys.
Are they really?
Yeah. All right. There we go. The belts are run. Now I just need to try to even them out, and then everything should be hunky-dory, right? I'm really kind of tired of upgrading and tweaking the Jubilee right now.
Are you?
I've been, let's see, I finished the build late March, and it is now almost June, and I'm still tweaking. Now, some of it is because I can't help myself.
Right.
Part of it is there are actually still problems that need to be solved. So the problem right now that I'm facing is, I think, there we go. I think I'm still not getting reliable lockups in the
Yeah.
tool changes. The last time I did a print, I tried to do a dual. So what I started doing is I just print a basic tower, 20mm base, 2 walls, no infill, no top layers. And then I just look at the quality of the lines. And then one tower I set to one tool, the other tower I set to the other tool, so that it forces a layer change basically every time.
Right.
And that seems to be a decent test to tell whether or not my tool changes are consistent. So far, I've not been particularly impressed with the quality of my tool changes.
Yeah, I had the V6 printing, and it was looking okay. There was some ringing that I was gonna work out, but wow, these are $1 a shim, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it depends on how much you have patience for and how much money you feel like you want to spend on it. So if you have no patience and you have the money, you buy them from Masumi. If you have the patience, you buy them from AliExpress and wait 6 weeks or 8 weeks or however long.
I definitely don't have the patience, but I'm just am I reading that correctly? It's $1 a shim per shim, $1.
I don't remember. It was a pack of 30, and I think it was $30 or something. I don't really remember,
Yeah,
to be honest.
they dropped down to 77 cents. Yeah, so like $23, and then shipping is probably $30. Yeah.
Well, they just kind of come in a pack of I mean, they come pre-packaged in a pack of 30.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, what I was saying was like I had the V6 working, which is some ringing, so I started working on the aqua. Just fooling around with trying to get it to print well, and it was really strange because couldn't get a consistent first layer on the aqua, but the V6, I mean, I was getting really consistent, first layers, and I mean, the print quality wasn't all perfect, but it was consistent, right?
Well,
And then,
ringing is, I mean, it's difficult to tune out completely. I don't know if you ever will.
right.
It depends on how much.
I wasn't too upset with it. But just trying to tweak it, trying to see exactly, like I've been saying, I'm pretty new at all this, so trying to understand exactly what, some of those acceleration and jerk settings do and what it means, and
So, do
but
you understand what jerk is?
I think so, right? So it's kind of it determines a certain angle at which it slows down and ramps up at max speed.
Um, the simplest terms to think about uh, jerk is the acceleration of the acceleration.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah, so basically, if you want to go accelerate to 100, and you want to do it at 10, right? We're not talking units. We're just saying you want to accelerate at 10 to 100, so that would take 10 seconds, right?
Right.
Essentially. So jerk is saying, well, if you go straight from an acceleration of 0 to 10, you're going to spin your tires, right? You're just going to break loose and gravel's going to fly everywhere and you're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So jerk is kind of the idea of, okay, let's ease the throttle on a little bit so we don't bust loose, and then once we're going, we start to push that accelerator down until we're at full acceleration.
Right.
And that's kind of the idea of jerk. In 3D printing, if you try to do an instantaneous speed change, or accelerate in a different direction instantaneously, and depending on the load and everything in the system, it can kind of create some issues.
Gotcha. But I printed some calibration pieces and adjusted some things, and I think I got the V6 dialed in pretty well. But it was weird because I was having so many problems with the Aqua. It's frustrating because I couldn't tell. It seemed like I would have problems, and then suddenly I'd have a problem with the locking mechanism, um, and I'd end up having to rebuild the tool locking um, at the stepper motor. Um, and once I did that, then it would print well again. So I'm not sure if the reason it was inconsistent is because it was slowly kind of messing up over time. So then I switched back to the V6 for a little while, but I think I've got it tuned in pretty good. I'm about to try and mess with the other one again. Um, but yeah, I've been printing all these little temperature towers and acceleration tests and extrusion tests, and it's pretty hilarious how I end up getting back to about the settings that everybody was telling me they were anyway.
Yeah, that happens. Realize that there's a reason behind some of the madness.
Right.
I don't really ever do temperature towers though.
Well, mostly I was doing it just to try and see if I had something, just incorrect. I mean, part of that seems like a lot of different filaments will have different temperatures that, they'll have different, stringiness or whatever too. So unless you're
Yeah,
going to do a temperature tower every brand of filament you get. I don't know why you'd necessarily keep
I
doing
mean, on the package, they have a range of temperatures, and I usually just go with what's on the package.
that. Yeah. Do you usually go on the high end or the low end? What do you usually print like PLA at?
PLA, I usually just print it at 200.
Yeah.
In that ballpark. You can actually change, like what I've noticed that really happens if you go from like 200 to 210 is you can, like at 200, you're going to, with inland filament at least, and black in particular, since that's what I normally print with when I'm printing most of my stuff.
Right.
Anyway, in that particular set of circumstances, you're looking at changing the glossiness of the print. So at 200, the prints turn more matte. At 210, they turn more glossy. But the package actually recommends like 215 to 230. But I've been printing for it's funny. I've been buying inland filament forever, but I've watched the temperature slowly climb from where it used to recommend like 190 to 210 or something like that. Now it's like, then they would go up 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees. And right now on the sides of their spools, it says 215 to 230. But I say, why? Because it still works at the lower temperatures. But I don't know. I never really got into the whole let's print out a temperature tower thing.
Right.
I know that's for the most part, all I really see that doing is messing with the finish.
Yeah, I ended up kind of settling on a much higher temperature than I was originally using, and it's probably more because it just looks nice. It looks smoother.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. If you want a glossier print, go with the higher temperature. Well, I was gonna try to get this all tuned in and printing something tonight, but it took me all night just to get the stupid crossbar reassembled.
Yeah, I saw you fighting with getting the belt clasps. I can't do that by myself. I have to have one of my kids come help me or something. It seems almost impossible to do it by yourself.
I mean, basically, I get one end in, then I push that end down, get the other end in, and then I'll actually put with my thumb. I push it up against the belt clasp and then tighten it down. And then, if you slip a tooth, it's not really that big of a deal because you've got plenty of motion. You should have plenty of motion in the stepper motors to, compensate for a one tooth or something like that.
Right.
It's not like it needs to be super tight when you're putting them on there. So, but I think I need to call it a night. I need to get into work quite a bit earlier tomorrow.
Well, it's good to chat for a bit. Hadn't seen you guys in like a couple weeks.
I have been doing a lot of live streams just because I don't think people watch them very much anymore.
Right.
But I do try to get on the record or like into the voice channels a couple times a week at least.
That's cool.
I don't know how much I'll probably be on tomorrow, but then I've got a lot of stuff going on this week, different projects that are completely unrelated to 3D printing, so.
Good things, I hope.
Yeah, I've got a shed coming and I've got the cement slab already in, so I need to get some lumber prepped for shelves. I've got the a design in my head. I gotta work out exactly how high I'm gonna place the shelves, and then I want to build the shelves part of it out of, it's just gonna be 2x4s. So I'm gonna use a straight up like 8-foot long 2x4s for the shelves, so it'll be an 8-foot long shelf.
Gotcha. Is this the new workshop?
What's that?
Is it going to be your new workshop?
No, the shed is going to help me organize the house and the garage. The garage is my wood workshop.
Gotcha.
And then I'm also, today I just cut two plywood sheets that I'm going to glue together, and that's going to be a tabletop from my new 3D printer table.
Oh, cool.
Where the Jubilee will be on that, and the my big box, which right now they're on separate tables, but they'll eventually will be on the same table. And I'm going to put 4 drawers in it, where I'm going to keep like, all my crimps and everything. In like one drawer, and another drawer I'll have like all the hardware or something like that I have in boxes. But I also have a wall organizer where I have hardware and different things like that. But then another drawer will be like where was I going with that? Oh, like fittings for electrical stuff.
Right.
Microfits and all those different things, junior fits and stuff. So I'll have a drawer for that. And then the third drawer, I have no idea. Maybe I'll put something like drill bits or a label or something in there. And then once I have that table built, the table that the Jubilee is on right now, and it's where my computer and everything is, I'm going to build a new table there, and it's actually 2 plastic tables that form an L, so I'm going to remake both of those in basically the same way that I'm going to make the 3D print. So it's a nice work area.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I've got multi-bin organizers on the wall. There's 3 of them, but there's space for 4. I don't know why I didn't just do 4 from the beginning, but I have a 4th one that I'll hang next to the 3. And then I also have a pegboard on one wall, which is the wall next to the Jubilee right now. And then the other wall doesn't have a pegboard, so I have some extra pegboard still, so I'll probably cut some pegboard for that.
That's cool.
And then I've got another thing in the works where it's going to be a 5-spool dry box for filament. And I found some really nice plastic containers that have a seal on them that are relatively cheap. And I've got like 6 or 8 of them. I forget exactly. So I've got the design kind of all planned out in my head. It'll just use 3D printed pieces, 608 bearings, and some fittings for the filaments. And it'll be designed in such a way that like the filament can't like jump over the edge of the spool, so you could like shove the filament back in there without it worrying about tangling up. Right. So then I plan on having like probably 4 of those above the printers, so like I'll have like 30 different spools that I'll be able to just grab whatever whenever I want and feed it to whichever printer at any time I want.
That's cool. You gonna do like just PTFE out of the boxes?
Yeah.
In the box, just gotcha. That's cool.
Yep. So that way it'll all be basically sealed. But all right, I really gotta get going though. So you have a good night.
I'll see you
And
later. Take care.
I'll be on tomorrow. I usually get around 10, 11 o'clock. So just so you know.
Cool.
All right, have a good night.
Talk to you soon. Have a good night.